All right, and we are live in a way. Hello, everyone. Justin Crumley here with the CuJo Productions channel. Trying something new this time. This is gonna be my podcast that I'm gonna be starting. I'm gonna try to film an installment at least once a week, maybe once every other week. I haven't really got a schedule down, but in a nutshell, I'm just going to come on here and just kind of talk about things, whatever I feel like talking about. You know, I just like talking. I like talking about things, and I like talking to you guys, so I figured, screw it. Why not start a podcast on my channel? So, anyway, down the road, I would like to have some guests, definitely. When this, hopefully all this pandemic stuff is all cleared up. And on that note, I do want to say I hope everyone is staying safe, staying home, staying healthy. Just, be careful out there. So, anyway, without further ado, let's get into the topic at hand, what I want to talk about. And so, Tom Brady has just left the New England Patriots, and I did a video on it. And, I obviously, when I made the video, we hadn't known where he was going. He obviously went to Tampa Bay, and it just kind of made me think about, the Patriots dynasty and what he had a hand in creating. And it's really kind of amazing that we got to witness that. So, what I want to talk about was every Super Bowl that the Patriots won under Brady, Belichick, and Kraft. The 6 rings that Tom Brady has, all 6 of them. Basically, I just want to talk about each Super Bowl and kind of give you guys my perspective on where I was when I watched these games, what was going on at the time, and, at least in my life. And, just kind of talk about it from that perspective. From the perspective of a Patriots fan, I'd like to kind of celebrate the Patriots dynasty. And, I figured what better way to do that than kick off my podcast by doing so. So, anyway, let's talk about Super Bowl 36. I believe this was on February 3rd or February 1st, 2002. The year was 2002. I do know that for sure. I'm actually looking it up right now. Super Bowl 36. February 3rd, 2002. Okay, so I was about 9 years old at this time. And God, I remember the build up to this Super Bowl. Everybody was bragging about the Rams offense, the greatest show on turf. It can't be beat. And it's a bit hard to believe, but at this point, the Patriots really were underdogs. They were, they were underdogs, heavy underdogs. Like I said, at the time, the Rams, their offense had a nickname. They were called the greatest show on turf, and they knew how to put up points. And let's be honest here, their defense was no slouch either. They were the 3rd best defense in the NFL, so a lot of people had a lot of reason in the world to think the Patriots have no chance. They have no chance. So, I was 9 years old, and I remember asking my dad. I asked him, "Hey, so who do you want to win between the Patriots and the Rams? Who do you think's gonna win? Who do you want to win?" And he goes, "New England." And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, he's crazy. Like, all I ever hear about is how good the Rams are. So, I mean, the Rams are probably going to smoke them. Who knows? But I went with my dad on it, and I said, all right, well, if you're rooting for New England, then I'm going to root for New England, because I was a 9-year-old kid. So, I remember watching that Super Bowl, and I remember, I watched the highlights in preparation for this, and I kind of flash back to when I was watching it when I was 9 years old, and really that game was so exciting. It was so fun to watch. And me and my dad were just ecstatic that whole time. And what made it even better was who the quarterback was. It was Tom Brady. It was some nobody from Michigan, which just happened to be my favorite college football team. So by default, I was kind of rooting for Tom Brady. And like I said, the game itself, having rewatched the highlights, it was a pretty damn good game. It certainly did come down to the last minute, and I remember, I'll never forget this, but I remember the winning drive of that game when the Rams tied it up, made it 17-17. They left. I think it was like a minute 12 on the clock, something like that. They left enough time for New England to drive down the field and kick a game-winning field goal. And I'll never forget it. I remember John Madden going, I don't agree with what the Patriots are doing. You have to play for overtime. You have to kneel on the ball. You got to play for overtime. Now, granted, he did correct himself after a while and said, now I kind of like what the Patriots are doing when they started moving the ball. And to this day, when I watch the final kick go through the uprights, and I hear Pat Summerall say, Adam Vinatieri, no time on the clock, and the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36. I get goosebumps. I really do. Even to this day, I still do. It was a really good game. It was the beginning of a dynasty, and we didn't even realize it at the time. So, suffice it to say, I have a lot of fond memories of Super Bowl 36. I definitely do like going back and rewatching the highlights. And, just kind of remembering that being such a major bonding point for, like, me and my dad when I was a kid. I watched really the majority of these Super Bowls with him. Almost every one of them. I think actually every one of them I did. So, I guess that's why the Patriots do kind of hold a place in my heart. But, I'll get to that after I'm done talking about the Super Bowls. So, to wrap up Super Bowl 36 for me, it was definitely a lot of fun to go back to school and be like, I was right. I said Patriots, and they won, so take that. So, and it's so fun for me to go back and watch that game and just flash back to when I was 9 years old and I was watching it in my living room with my dad and, eating a bowl of chili. Good times. It was a good time. It was a good time. So, I'm going to talk about Super Bowl 38 next. I'm going to look up when this one took place. All right, this one was on February 1st, 2004. And this one was interesting. This was the one against the Carolina Panthers. And I'm not going to get into, did the Patriots cheat? I'm not going to get into that. So just don't expect any of that at all for this podcast. So anyway, this one was interesting because I remember my cousin being so adamant that the Carolina Panthers were going to win this game that he actually went out and I think he bought a Steve Smith jersey or Jake Delhomme. I don't remember who. I want to say it was Steve Smith, but again, I don't remember. And really it was because I was a Pats fan. He just wanted to see the Pats lose. But, that's really what made it interesting. And, I do have some fond memories of this one. So, the first half, and again, I watched the highlights for this one too. I watched the highlights for all of them. I'll try not to keep reminding you that. Sorry. So I remember like that game. It took forever for anyone to put up some points. Like the first half, I remember it being very defensive heavy. It kind of was like, you could say boring, lack of scoring, that kind of thing. But I remember like I think towards the second half or like right in the second half, the scoring started to pick up big time, and it became a game. So, again, I remember my cousin being like, "Oh, no, the Panthers are going to win. Panthers are going to win. They're going to win. They're going to be champions, not the Patriots. You know, screw the Patriots. Screw them." And I was like, "Okay, we'll see. We'll see." Well, again, my dad and we watched it in my living room. This time with some nachos and cheese. He had some jalapenos with his. 2004, 2004, let's see. I was 11 at this point, going on 12. So, yeah, he was eating jalapenos. I wasn't quite old enough for those yet. Actually, to tell you the truth, I just didn't want jalapenos. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, the first half of the game was kind of boring. There wasn't a whole lot of scoring, and to be honest with you, I don't mind games that are defensive. I like defensive games. I like flashy defenses. It's kind of, that's what I like. I like seeing defenses keep, points off the board. So, it doesn't really bother me to see defensive heavy games, even if it is just for one half. So yeah, in the second half, the scoring picked up, and we all know the story. I think it was John Casey for the Carolina Panthers, kicker. Correct me if I got his name wrong in the comment section below, but he ended up like kicking it out of bounds, gave the Patriots like almost half a football field to work with. So that was definitely interesting, and it definitely made it easy. I don't know why I said it was interesting. I'm sorry. That made it a little easier for New England to go down and kick another game-winning field goal off the foot of Adam Vinatieri once again. So, yeah, last time I had bragging rights in school, this time I had bragging rights over my cousin. And it was freaking awesome. It was absolutely awesome. I'm not really like much of a loudmouth, but I do like to brag from time to time. But yeah, this one, I don't remember too much besides like being able to brag at my cousin. But yeah, it was another win. It was the second Super Bowl in at that point 3 years. And with that being said, I think it's time we move on to the next one, Super Bowl 39. This one was against the Eagles. It took place on February 6th, 2005. So I was 12. I was going to be 13 later this year. Damn, like, I was heading into my teenage years at this point. Woo. Anyway, so this one was against the Eagles, and this one I watched with my dad. My dad and I, we went to his buddy's trailer, and we all watched it together. I don't remember who his buddy was rooting for. I want to say it was the Patriots, but I'm not 100% sure. But, to tell you the truth, this is the Super Bowl I kind of remember the least about. And it's not to say that it was a bad one. And even after watching the highlights, there's very little I remember from it. Now, it's interesting to note that this was one of the Super Bowls that Tom Brady didn't get the Super Bowl MVP award. It actually went to Deion Branch in this game. Now, I don't have the numbers pulled up, and I'm not going to pull up the numbers, but the few things that stick out to me from this one was I remember Terrell Owens having a pretty damn good game in this one. I remember Deion Branch making fun of the fly eagle fly dance thing. That was a lot of fun. And I remember Rodney Harrison's game-winning interception. This was the one that pretty much solidified the Patriots as a dynasty of the first dynasty of the 21st century in the NFL. Now, I really don't care if you love or hate the Patriots. You can't deny that. You just can't. And it's not only the Super Bowls that they were doing in the 2000s. They actually, in 2007, they became the first NFL franchise to complete an undefeated season in a 16-game format. Now, sadly, they didn't win the Super Bowl that year, which I guess is a good segue into Super Bowl 42. Now, I know I said I would talk about the 6 that they won, but why not talk about the ones that they lost? Let's talk about the downs as well as the ups. So, Super Bowl 42 took place on February 3rd, 2008. I was about 15 years old at the time. I want to say 15. Yeah, because I was going to be 16 that year. So, I was a freshman in high school when this one took place, when this game happened. And this is actually where the stories can get a lot longer because this stuff is more like fresh in my memory. So I was a freshman in high school at the time, and I used to talk a lot of shit to one of my classmates about, because he was a big Colts fan, and that year, Pats and the Colts, when they met up in the regular season, both teams were undefeated. The Pats won, obviously, and went on to stay undefeated. So that whole season, I talked a lot of smack. I'm not gonna bullshit you guys. I'm not gonna be dishonest. I talked a lot of shit. I really did. I was 15 years old. I was a mouthy guy. What can I say? So, this one was not fun to have to reap the consequences of. So, bearing everything I just told you guys in mind, let's talk about the game itself. It felt like a disaster for me. It really did. And it was just a football game. But at the time, I was like, oh, man, I'm going to have to face the music. This sucks. So, by halftime, I was like, holy shit. The Giants are actually giving the Pats a fight. And one of the classmates that I would talk shit about, I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but he had been telling me, he's like, oh, man, I think the Giants could pull it off, man. I think they're going to pull it off. I think they can pull it off. And I was like, oh, no, my God, no, he can't be right. No. Again, I was 15. I wasn't really all that mature. And bearing everything I told you in mind, I can't stress this enough. I talked a lot of crap in that season. So by halftime, my heart was pounding. Now, again, it was me and my dad. We went to this bowling alley. We met up with a buddy of his, some more people he knew, and I think we watched like the first three quarters. And when we were going home, my heart was pounding. I wanted to know what was going to happen and if the Pats were going to be able to pull it off. And obviously they didn't. And there's a few plays that stick out to me. Two of them you guys already know. But first one I want to talk about is the Asante Samuel game-winning interception that could have been. He had an easy interception, went right through his hands, would have easily sealed the game, but it didn't. Like I said, went right through his hands. So it is what it is. What do you want me to talk? What do you want me to say? The next play that I remember was that goddamn Eli Manning play where he almost got sacked. He somehow managed to get out of the pocket and make that throw to David Tyree, and again, David Tyree makes a helmet catch. We can debate if that was a catch or not. I just, at this point, I don't care. It's old news. So all I remember is going absolutely apeshit when that play happened. I was so pissed. I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. What is this crap? What the fuck? Like, I was going nuts. I was going apeshit. Like, over a football game, too. Like, I'm not kidding. So, the last play, and I'm sure it's not gonna come as any shocker. It's the Plaxico Burress touchdown. I pretty much knew at that point, it's like, this game is over. This game is fucking over. I'm going to have to go back to school and face the music. And boy, was that not fun. I look back at that stuff and I laugh because at the end of the day, it was just a football game. It's not that big of a deal. Nothing in my life was really impacted. All that meant was that I had to go back to school and face the music, And again, I talked a lot of smack. So you know what? I own up to it. I kind of made my own bed with that. And I own up to it now at this point. So I guess at the end of the day, even though I would have loved to have seen the Pats win this one and complete that undefeated season, Jesus Christ, season, cap off a 19-0 season, I it would have been great, but I guess for this one, the life lesson for me was your actions have consequences. But also, I feel like this one was a little humbling for me. Like, to that point, I had never seen the Patriots lose a Super Bowl. And I was like, oh, no way, man. They're undefeated. They're 18-0. There's just no way they can lose. They can't lose. No, they can't. They just can't. But they did. Obviously, they thought they couldn't lose either. Because they didn't come out and play their best. They didn't go 100%. They didn't go hard in the paint. Whatever you want to call it. They didn't. It's obvious they didn't. They thought they had the game won. The Giants, hey, my hat's off to them. They played with a chip on their shoulders. They played aggressive. They got to Tom. And I have to say, for that game in particular, I never agreed with Eli Manning getting the MVP award. I think it should have went to Michael Strahan. Now, I'm sure Eli had a good game. If I look at the numbers, if I were to, I'm sure he had a good game, but I'm sorry. If the Giants' defense didn't play the way it did, they didn't get to Brady the way they did and put pressure on him, if Brady was able to do what he was able to do all season, and that's connect to Moss downfield, and if not him, just dump it off to Welker, I think we see a different ball game. I think the Patriots would have smoked them. If the Giants defense hadn't played like that, and look, I single out Michael Strahan because I thought he got to Brady the most. I think he actually had a couple sacks if I remember correctly. I remember him having a pretty good game. So I thought he should have been MVP. But it went to Eli Manning. It is what it is. I'm not, it's whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Eli did deserve it more than Michael Strahan. Like I said, I don't have the numbers pulled up. I'm not, not doing anything for the numbers. So, yeah, I guess overall for this one here, it was a bit of a humbling experience. It was, I feel like I had to see the Patriots lose a major game to kind of, to just kind of be humbled. To be kind of like, you know what? You really can't win them all. You can't get too cocky. You can't just assume things are going to fall into place for you. You got to go out and get it. You got to go out and you got to work for it. Like I said, obviously they played not to their fullest in that game. They played like they already won the game. They already had it won. It's just obvious. That was the vibe I got from them in that one. So, with that said, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to another incredibly painful Super Bowl, and that is going to be Super Bowl 45. This one was also against the Giants. It took place on February 6, 2011. And I was actually in college when I saw this one. And same thing as Super Bowl 42. It was me, my dad, and actually my buddy Vinny this time was with us. And we went and met up with a buddy of my dad's at the same bowling alley we were at when, Pats and the Giants played Super Bowl 42. So this one, the only thing I can think of was like I really, really wanted to see Tom Brady get that fourth ring. I wanted him to tie Joe Montana in rings and pass him in appearances. Because in my opinion, when Brady, because I think at that point if he had 3 rings and it was his 5th appearance in a Super Bowl, so he had already passed Montana in appearances, but he hadn't even tied him in rings yet. So I just remember really, really wanting the Patriots to pull it off this time, to get revenge on the Giants for beating them in Super Bowl 42. I also remember the Patriots defense being particularly horrible that season. We actually had, I think, Albert Hainsworth that year for a little bit. Ended up cutting him later that year. And interesting enough, I think we had Chad Ochocinco on there. And he did absolutely nothing. So, great. And to tell you the truth, the only play that really sticks out to me in this one, besides the game winner where Ahmad Bradshaw kind of just like, I think he tried to sit because they were going to let him score, but he accidentally fell into the end zone, something like that. I don't know. Gave the Patriots a little bit of time, but there's actually 2 more plays that stick out to me, and I think you guys know both of them. And it's the drop pass from Wes Welker and Mario Manningham's fucking amazing catch. So I want to start with Wes Welker's drop pass because I honestly think that would have won us the game. It would have at least put us in a better spot to win. But he had to be Butterfingers for that one time. And I mean, Wes Welker was not a bad receiver. He just wasn't. The guy, I think he led the league in catches a couple of years under New England. Before Julian Edelman became Tom Brady's number one target, Wes Welker was pretty much Tom Brady's number one target. I mentioned him. I remember we got him. The Pats got him in 2007. And he just kind of came out of nowhere along with Randy Moss. So it was really, really just hard to believe that he dropped such an easy one. Now, he wasn't a very tall guy, but still, I don't think he was tall. Is he tall? Let me look that up. How tall is Wes Welker? He's 5'9". At least that's what they're billing him at. So, yeah, he's not a very tall guy. He's only a few inches taller than me, but still, it was a really good throw, and he probably should have had it. Every time I see that play, it pisses me off. It really does. It brings my blood to an absolute boil, and I can't stand it. I absolutely freaking hate it. I just do. So, there was that. And the other one, I already mentioned, the Mario Manningham catch. Now, I like Mario Manningham. He was a Michigan receiver. So, I got a soft spot for Michigan players. So, seeing him make that catch was kind of bittersweet. On one hand, I love seeing Michigan players flourish in the NFL. But it was against the Patriots, and it was the Super Bowl. So, this was kind of a time where I was looking to make an exception. You guys know the rest. Giants went on to win this one. Once again, beating New England. And I remember I didn't get really angry in this one. I just kind of sank. My mood just kind of dropped to the floor. My buddy Vinny and I, we walked out of the bowling alley together. We just walked out, kind of head down, got in my dad's car, or, his truck, van, whatever the hell he was driving at the time. And he, I was texting my buddy Wayne. I said, man, I'm so fucking pissed, kind of. I wasn't pissed. I was just, sad, disappointed. Because like I said, I really just wanted to see Brady get that fourth ring. This guy's my childhood hero. So, one of my idols. So, of course, I really wanted to see him get that fourth ring. And I remember being so disappointed. And in hindsight, it kind of sounds funny because, again, it's just a football game. So, at the end of the day, it had no impact on me. I was still going to school. I was still doing my thing. And nothing in my life was any different. But I was just so bummed. I really wanted New England to win that one. I wanted them to get revenge. And I wanted Brady to get that fourth ring. So, now we're going to move on to a better Super Bowl story. And that would be Super Bowl 49. The one against the Seahawks. This is an interesting one. So, I think this one took place on February 3rd of 2014, I want to say. I'm going to look it up. just to be sure. February 1st, 2015. My bad. Okay. So, this game. I just watched the highlights to this one. And actually, I did a video on this one right after it happened. I did it, with some friends of mine. And I didn't watch that video before recording this podcast here. But what a game. What a game this was. So, as for where I was, well, I remember my friends being there. We were all at my house. We were watching it with my dad, and I remember there was a really, really fucking bad snowstorm in the state of Michigan that night. And actually, me and my buddies, we went and walked to the gas station right by my house at the time, and we walked through that blizzard. It was horrible. It wasn't fun, but, we were hungry. We wanted to get some snacks and some bullshit, and, if I'm being honest, we were gonna smoke a blunt, so, hey, we did that, so that was fun. But the story here is all about what happened at the end of the game, and I'll get to that. This one I want to talk about because I remember being on the edge of my seat. And I remember thinking, wow, so here we are. Another Super Bowl. This is Brady's 6th appearance. And 6? Was it his 6th? Yeah, 6th. I think it was his 6th appearance. Okay, so his 6th appearance. He's got 3 rings. I'd really, really love for him to be 4 for 6. And I was also filming 13 Years a Patriot at the time, which is a short film I did for my YouTube channel. You guys can check that out if you want. Let me know what you think. Shameless plug. But this game was just wild. It was off the wall, crazy. A lot of big things happened. And I remember Chris Matthews kind of making his debut in this game for the Seahawks, and he absolutely chewed Kyle Arrington up. And I remember thinking, Jesus Christ, Kyle Arrington sucks. He's a terrible corner, should not be on the field right now. So I remember Belichick that's when Malcolm Butler came in. He started covering Jermaine Kearse while Brandon Browner would cover Chris Matthews, because Brandon Browner was about as tall as Chris Matthews. Darrelle Revis was on Doug Baldwin. And, once that happened, Chris Matthews kind of became a non-factor. He really didn't do much after that. Didn't seem like he did much. I don't remember him doing much. But at one point, the Seahawks went up by 10. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I kind of thought, I was like, shit, dude, this is not looking good. This is really not looking good. They're down by 10, and they were saying, like, oh, that's the largest margin of Super Bowl. Oh, will they come back? They may or may not. Oh, my God. Which, I mean, I get it. The commentators, they got to make it exciting, and it's the Super Bowl, so, it's not really hard to do that unless it's a blowout. And this was definitely no blowout. So you got a 10-point lead for the Seahawks. And those would be the last points the Seahawks scored for the rest of the game. New England's defense definitely tightened up, played a lot better, and they ended up taking a 28-24 lead. Now I'm going to talk about the play that everyone knows about. We all know the play. The Jermaine Kearse catch. You guys thought you probably thought I was talking about the Malcolm Butler interception. I'll get to that, but I remember that fucking catch from Jermaine Kearse like it was yesterday. And I just got done watching the highlights not too long ago. And I remember thinking, like, are you kidding me? Like, what the hell is this? Why are we such a magnet for bad luck? For miracle catches to go against us? What the hell is this? So, and look, my hat's off to Jermaine Kearse. It was a hell of a catch. It really was. So then came, I think the next play was a run from Marshawn Lynch, and as clock's ticking down, I remember thinking, oh, Belichick's got to call timeout here. You need to give your offense as much time as possible. And Seattle's only going to be up by a field goal, so you only got to get a field goal. You can send it to overtime if you have to, but go for the win. You'd have like 49 seconds, maybe that field goal, with like, I think 2 timeouts they had at the time. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. But I remember just watching the clock tick, and I'm thinking the whole time, like, oh my God, Bill, what are you doing? What are you doing, Bill? Call timeout, oh my God. Ah! And I remember hearing my dad upstairs, like, clap, and he shouts, yes! And then the play happened. You all know which one I'm talking about, and no fake outs this time. It is the Malcolm Butler interception. I literally jumped out of my seat when that happened. I started hopping up and down just like Tom Brady after that play happened. That was huge. And now hindsight is 2020. Looking back on it, probably the worst call in Super Bowl history, without a doubt. Probably the worst call ever in Super Bowl history. But a damn great game. Seattle played a great game. We came away with the win. There's really nothing else I could say. It was a really fun game to watch. And the memories I have from that one are so incredibly fond. And like I said, at the time I was filming 13 Years of Patriots, so there's a little bit of a connection there for me. So overall, this one, I love going back and revisiting this one, especially since it was recent. So that definitely helps. But also, anytime the Patriots win a Super Bowl is a good time for me. So, yep. And with that, let's talk about Super Bowl 51. Probably the most memed Super Bowl of all time. So, this one took place in Houston, Texas on February 5th, 2017. It was between, of course, the Patriots and the Falcons. I don't think I have to say anything else. You guys know this one. Atlanta blew a 25-point lead. They were up 28-3, and they blew the damn lead. So let's talk about the game itself and where I was. So I was at home for this one. I was with my dad, and I was with my buddy Vinny, and I was actually talking to another buddy of mine. I'm going to give him a shout out. His name's Brad, and I actually work with him at the moment, so, shout out to Brad. And he kept telling me, I'll get to him in a minute. I'll get to what he did in a minute, but I was talking to him, messaging him on Facebook the whole time. So, man, I'm fucking nervous, dude. This game's going to be so fucking fun, but I'm a wreck, dude. I'm a wreck. I'm so nervous. And he was like, dude, I think the Pats will be fine, man. I think they'll win. They'll be all right. And so obviously they went down 28-3, and I remember just the whole game from start to finish. So let me start from the beginning. Like from the beginning all the way mostly through the third quarter, Atlanta just dominated this game. From like Devontae Freeman's opening run that just absolutely shredded through New England's defensive line, got through their backfield. This was not a good game for Pats fans for the most part. Not for the first, like, 2.5 to almost 3 full quarters. Right around maybe like the 6 minute mark in the third quarter, that's when it gets good for us Pats fans. But before I get to that point, let's take it step by step. So, when LeGarrette Blount fumbled the ball, I remember thinking, like, oh boy, this might not be, this isn't going to be good. This isn't good. This is a bad sign. And I believe Atlanta took that and turned it into points. So I think that was like the first score of the game. I'm not sure if they went up 7-0 with that, or if they went up 14-0 with that on that play. So, moving on, Atlanta just dominated from like the entire first half. And I was like, holy shit, dude, how are the Patriots playing this bad? How are they playing this bad? Like, what is this? Like, I was frustrated. I was like, God damn, they're playing so shitty. What is this? Top scoring defense in the NFL. They shouldn't be playing this bad. What the hell? What is this? My buddy Vinny was, he was pissed off. I was pissed off. We were both like, ugh. And when the second half started, we were still hopeful. We're like, all right, they're still in this. They're still in this. I think it was like 14-3 or maybe like something like that. I don't remember the score. 21-3, something like that. I was like, you know what? It's an 18-point lead. It's, I think they can come back from this. It's a lot, but they can do it. As soon as it became 28-3, I don't remember. I don't remember if it was Devontae Freeman or Tevin Coleman that scored the touchdown. I know Rob Ninkovich was chasing after whoever it was. Again, I don't remember who scored the touchdown, but as soon as it was 28-3, I remember walking to the edge of my steps of the top floor of my house. I remember walking to the stairs and thinking, you know what? I just want to go downstairs and stop watching the game. I don't even want to watch this anymore. They're getting absolutely manhandled. I don't want to watch this. I was literally at the edge of the stairs. I was like, I'm done. That's it. Put a fork in it. It's over. Done. But I stayed and I thought about it. And I was like, you know what? What kind of fan would I be? I gotta learn to be able to. I gotta learn to be able to take the bad with the good. So I was like, you know what? It's a Super Bowl. My team is losing, but I'm gonna stay and watch. I'm gonna stay and watch. I'm gonna power through this, and if they lose, if they get their asses handed to them, it is what it is. That's just life. It's football. It's not important. It's just a game at the end of the day. Holy shit, am I glad I stuck around. Because that was probably one of the best Super Bowls I've ever watched. It might not be my favorite. I don't know. You guys might be surprised as to what the other one I think debatably is my favorite. But this one definitely is, it could go either way. This one and another one. But, which I won't tell you guys about till later. But anyway, so James White. I cannot say enough good things about this guy. This guy totally saved our asses in this game. And, Tom Brady ended up taking home MVP for this game. He actually took home MVP for Super Bowl 49 as well. I think I forgot to mention that, but he took home Super Bowl MVP for this game. And it was honestly debatable if he deserved it. Because a lot of people think James White actually deserved it. And it's hard for me to argue with a lot of that. It's hard for me to argue against that. It really is. James White had a hell of a game. He definitely was a very important factor here. I understand why they gave Tom the MVP because he did end up, I think he broke some records in this game. But nonetheless, I definitely see the argument for James White. Because he did have a hell of a game and he did score the game-winning touchdown. One of the plays I want to talk about, you guys know what it is. It's the Julian Edelman catch. We finally had a miracle catch go our way. You have no idea how good that felt. To finally say, hey, we finally get a fucking big play like that to go our way. And I still get chills when I watch that play. When I see Edelman make that catch. It gives me goosebumps. It really does. I absolutely love it. It's great. So, moving on. The last play of the game. I still get tingles in my back, dude. I get little tingles in my back. It's really nice. But really though, I get chills whenever Joe Buck, I hear Joe Buck saying, toss to White. He's in. Patriots win the Super Bowl. My voice is kind of screwed up right now. I can't really do a Joe Buck impression right now, unfortunately. So, sorry guys. But I get chills every time I watch that last play. And James White instantly became one of my favorite players because of that. Because of that game. I'm not even kidding. I actually bought a James White t-shirt because of that game. So, but the biggest thing coming out of that game, and I said it before I talked about the game itself, is like, this is probably the most memed Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowls. It really is. Like every March 28th, I always see it on Facebook, or I always see it everywhere. Happy Super Bowl 51 Day, 3/28. There's honestly a part of me that kind of feels bad for Falcons fans because they still have to put up with this crap. But I'm a Patriots fan, so I don't care. I think it's funny. I think it's great. And I never get tired of it myself. I really don't. So, but anyway, one of the greatest Super Bowls I've ever watched. Easily one of my favorites. And now let's move on to one that is absolutely not one of my favorites. And that would be Super Bowl 52. This is the one against the Eagles. This is a rematch. And this one, don't worry, I remember a lot more of this one than I do of Super Bowl 39. When they beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 39. This one, like, you guys want scoring? There was so much freaking scoring in this game. I mean, I don't think there was, besides the game-ending strip sack, I don't remember either defense making a stop. So, much like Super Bowl 51, it was, same time, same place. Actually, I don't think it was the same day. It was this one. This one took place on February 4th, 2018. So it wasn't the same day, but as far as the environment for me goes, it was the same. It was me and my dad, my buddy Vinny. We were all watching the game, and the entire time we're on the edge of our seat. There's a lot of scoring going on. We're like, holy shit, this is insane. Score, 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 score. Usually in games like that, the Pats do pretty well. And there's definitely some plays that I remember very fondly. And it was the trick play from, I think it was either Edelman or Danny Amendola would, attempted a pass to Tom Brady, and it ended up going in and out of Tom's hands, and it resulted in a fourth down. Then the Philadelphia Eagles go and do the same thing, and it's called the Philly Special, apparently. So that definitely were a couple of plays that stood out. The strip sack from Brandon Graham, takes a Michigan man to beat a Michigan man, I guess. Brandon Graham strip sack Tom Brady, and I kind of knew after it was like 41 to 33, it's like, jeez. Probably over. Now, I think that's a 8-point lead, if my math is correct, and usually it's not. Yeah, it's an 8-point lead. So they technically weren't out, but the last play of the game happened. The Eagles won, and, oddly enough, I didn't get mad at this one. I didn't. Tell you the truth, guys, I kind of took this one on the chin. Maybe because at this point, I was a full-grown adult. This one was in 2017, so about 3 years ago. I was about 24, gonna be 25. Yeah, about 24. So I was a fully grown adult at this point, and at this point, I guess for me, it was like, it's a football game. I'm not going to get mad about it. It is what it is. So, yeah. It's so funny, too, because, like, to this point, I haven't really, I had always gotten mad in some way, shape, or form when the Patriots would lose the Super Bowl. Not this one. Me and my buddy Vinny, we actually went to Taco Bell right after, and funny story, I got followed by a cop like the entire time. It was a really, really bad snowstorm, so I ended up taking my dad's truck, and his defrosters were not working. And if you've ever been in Michigan experiencing that Michigan weather, you need defrosters for your windshield. Trust me on that. So we went to Taco Bell, and we actually got followed by a cop. And I was thinking, like, is he going to pull me over? I mean, like, what's going on? What did I do? My headlight's not on, or is something not, is something not clicking right? Like, what's going on? One of my brake lights out? What's going on? So, strangely enough, he was only stopping to get food. So, hey, that was great. I didn't get pulled over. Unfortunately, the Pats still lost, but it is what it is. Like I said, I kind of took it on the chin. This one, I was an adult at this point, and at the end of the day, it was just a football game. So, with all that said, let's get into the last one that we're going to talk about. And That is Super Bowl 53, the rematch against the Rams. Team that Tom Brady beat to literally start the dynasty is the team that he would beat to potentially end it. At least, to end his part in it. How poetic. So, this game was all defense. My dad and I, we went to his cousin's to watch this one, and yeah, defense absolutely ran the show on this one. Now, as I said earlier, I like defensive games. I like games that feature two strong, flashy defensive performances. And the Rams defense did not play bad at all this game. In fact, they played great. They only surrendered one touchdown. Usually in a Super Bowl, if you only surrender one touchdown, you win. But not this one. There isn't too many plays that I can talk about. Actually, there's a couple plays I want to talk about. And they're my two favorites. One is the play where Jared Goff throws it for Brandon, and Brandon Cooks is wide open in the end zone, ready to make a nice, great catch to put the Rams up. I think the Pats were up like 3-0 at that point. Or it might have still been 0-0. I don't really remember when this play took place, but Brandon Cooks had it, and out of nowhere, Jason McCourty ran up to him and knocked the ball clear out of his hands and saved a touchdown. Damn good play. Really great play. I loved it. So, the other play I want to talk about is the game-winning interception from Stephon Gilmore. It was like 10-3. I think he was covering Brandon Cooks, and he ended up splitting away from him and picking it off. Now, Jared Goff kind of threw it on his back foot, so it was pretty much fair game for Stephon Gilmore to have this one. And unlike Asante Samuel, he didn't blow it. I'm kidding. That's not shade to Asante Samuel. Actually, Asante Samuel was one of my favorite players as a kid, and he still is. He was a great cornerback, but he did kind of let us down in Super Bowl 42. Stephon Gilmore didn't let us down in Super Bowl 53. And Sony Michel ended up getting the game's only touchdown after a brilliant catch from Rob Gronkowski, which would actually go on to be his last catch in the NFL. So that sucked, but it is what it is. It's not really all that surprising. All things considered, Rob Gronkowski was pretty injury prone at a point, so it's understandable that he would retire. Now, Julian Edelman ended up taking home the MVP in this game, and yeah, he had a good game. I definitely don't disagree with it. I think Sony Michel probably should have took home the MVP award myself because he had the game's only touchdown for one, and I believe he actually broke over 100 yards that game. So, all things considered, and if not, he was damn close. Sony Michel had a really good game, and I think he should have took home the MVP award. Just throwing it out there. So overall, this game was all defense. Easily one of the best coaching performances from Bill Belichick. And maybe not one of the best performances for Tom Brady, but it is what it is. He got that 6th ring on his 9th appearance. And now he takes all that experience and all that, and he goes to Florida. He goes to Tampa Bay. all I can say is best of luck to him. I really do hope nothing but the best for him. And really, as I sit down and I talk about all these Super Bowls, I can't help but think of all the good times. Sure, it sucks that Brady's gone. It's not going to feel the same without seeing TB12 coming out on the field. But, we all knew this day was going to come at some point. We always have those memories. We always have all the great times that we can look back on. And, Tom Brady helped put the Patriots on the map. And at the end of the day, that's what we should be thankful for. So, as for what I think happens going forward, it's tough to say. There's a lot of debate around Jarrett Stidham. If he's, debating, a lot of Pats fans kick around if he's any good. And, there's a heavy-handed debate going on about if he's, if he's going to be able to fill the shoes of Tom Brady. And that's a lot to ask for a guy who's going to be entering his second year in the NFL. But, hey, Brady won a Super Bowl in his second year in the NFL, and it's kind of a similar story. You have a young quarterback drafted in, Stidham actually went earlier than Brady. Brady went in the 6th round, 199th overall. Stidham went in the 4th. I don't remember what pick overall, but he went in the 4th round. And I actually am one of those Pats fans. I really like Jarrett Stidham. If you guys go back and watch some of the videos I made on the preseason games for the Pats, you'll notice that I have a lot of great things to say about Jarrett Stidham. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's got a good arm. He's got a high football IQ. He's a smart quarterback. Can use his legs. He's mobile. So, and hey, at some point he was gonna have to start anyway. He was gonna have to get in there and play anyway. So, what better time than now? I just hope he is able to string together a decent year. And, I guess if I had to set a goal for the Patriots, at least for Jarrett Stidham, it would be help lead the Pats to another AFC East title or a playoff victory. I think that's a reasonable standard to hold the Patriots to, at least with Jarrett Stidham. If it were Tom Brady, believe me, I'd be saying Super Bowl or bust. Now, let's not forget they still have a lot of that really good defense. Unfortunately, we did lose Danny Shelton and a good couple of our top linebackers, Jamie Collins and Kyle Van Noy. But, hey, we still got Stephon Gilmore. We still got Dante Hightower. We signed another linebacker from the Jets, Brandon Copeland. So, yeah, decent signing. We got more signings on the way. We got, plenty of offseason to go. And, hey, so long as Bill Belichick is the coach of this team, I firmly believe we will always be contenders. And no, I don't think we're going to tank to get Trevor Lawrence. I just don't think that's going to happen, guys. I think that's stupid. I don't think Belichick would purposely do that, would purposely tarnish his legacy or any of that just to take a chance on a hotshot quarterback prospect that may or may not pan out. Let's not forget, look at what Jameis Winston has become. Now, Jameis Winston isn't a terrible quarterback, but he does throw a lot of interceptions, and he certainly isn't looking like the quarterback that we all thought he would be. But, hey, who knows? Maybe if he plays for a new team, he might be better. I'm not suggesting that he comes to the Patriots. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that they're gonna, wing it with Stidham. But, hey, we'll see. This isn't about Jameis Winston, though. We're talking about the Patriots, so I apologize, guys. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this first installment. I want to know some of your guys' memories of all these Super Bowls. What do you think of every one of them? Where were you when these Super Bowls took place? And hey, if you got any questions for me that you want me to answer in the next podcast installment, you can go ahead and throw those in the comment section below. I'll be sure to answer as many as I can if I get any. But I hope you guys enjoyed the first installment of CuJo's Corner. I'm looking forward to doing more installments of this. I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys more often in a format that I'm pretty comfortable in. Once again, guys, thank you for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the first installment of CuJo's Corner. And until next time, I'm Justin Crumley, and this is CuJo Productions, signing out. Fucking kidding me, dude. Come on.